Hi, Lynn. Welcome back.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Um, so as we start today, um, I wanted to just remind you of confidentiality and um, that I am a mandated reporter. I know you've heard it every time, but I have to go over it to let you know that anything you say here will stay here unless you do disclose to me that either you or somebody else is in danger, then I do have to report that, okay? All right. So, first things first, I just wanted to do a brief check-in with you about how you're feeling with what we've been working on and going through, and especially around me bringing up the last session that this is going to be one of our last ones together.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty open and okay with that and comfortable with it. I feel like we've
Good.
had quite a few sessions and have come quite a long way together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Do you have any questions since the last session that came up? If you don't, that's okay, but I just wanted the floor is yours to ask anything.
Nothing, I guess, really specific. The only thing that I can really think of right now is, um, what are some things you think that I can continue to work on?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you don't mind holding on to that, I think so right at the end of this session, I am going to touch on some of those things, and I think that'll be a good time to have that conversation. If you're, I'll write it down and so that I don't forget, but I will be sure that we touch on that at the end if that's all right.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Is there any other questions that came up?
No.
Um, all right. But I will ask again. That'll be after I go through actually making sure that we touch on your question. So I will ask again. If anything comes up, feel free to write it down. All right. All right. So as we get into it, I like to make, my last sessions around the clients. And even though it's already been about you, I kind of want to talk about the goals that we set in the beginning, how we've progressed with those goals, anything that I've noticed with you, with working with you. And then also, I want to start making a plan for what's going to happen after next session. So that you feel super prepared. All right. Does
Okay.
that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So I want to recap your goals with you. Let's start there. So as I went through my notes from all of our sessions, you had about five goals, okay? So there was you wanted to be able to get a full night of sleep. You wanted to be able to go throughout the day without overthinking. Um, you also wanted to make sure that you were able to cope with the thoughts and the stress and all the anxiety that you were feeling. So that's kind of the goals like clumped up together. And does that kind of ring a bell? Do those ring the bells that like you wanted to work on?
Yeah, that
All right.
sounds right.
So now I want to talk about what your feelings are with progress. So we've been doing a lot of really deep um exposure therapy. So we've been really digging into all these memories and the thoughts that you've had and of that experience. And we've been using exposure therapy to cope with your post traumatic stress disorder, right? So, how do you feel that we have done with achieving these goals? You can tell me that we've achieved them or you want to still work on them. How, but this is for you.
feel like we've done a pretty good job at achieving them, with the exposure therapy and going back through those experiences and the details. It's really allowed me to better cope with it all and just kind of
Yeah.
have more clarity with the original confusion I had.
Okay. I think you've done a really great job. Like you've come very far from that.
Mhm.
And I was wondering if you could give me some examples about like how you feel like you've achieved some of these goals.
Yeah, so I know before we have discussed me having some anxiety that's pretty much gone away and a lot of the flashbacks as well and the nightmares with the sleeping
Good.
have pretty much gone away completely since starting.
That's good. That's positive to hear. These are all super positive things that we hoped to get out of exposure therapy and working together. Um, I want to point out some of your strengths since we've been working together and how hard it has been like to get to this point. You really did put in the work. You were open to going through the hard memories and reliving them. And you were also open though to learning about yourself and how you were managing the thoughts and the stress, the anxiety. So that really takes a lot of courage and resiliency to be able to do stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I have noticed with you, is that you have a lot of resiliency. And also you continued to show up no matter how hard the memories were the last session or how hard they were during the session. You continued to give it your all. So that's another strength. And also just being able to identify with you like what has been working with us and being able to just check in and say like this works, this doesn't work. That's something that's really uh, like strength based. That's really good. And you have all these things, and I just wanted to highlight them for you because it's important to know what you're good at and what you have. So I wanted to give that to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
And I think we've done a really good job at reaching your goals. So now, is there any part of the goals that you feel like you still need or want to work on?
Um, I think continuing to cope with the anxiety surrounding the event and
Yeah,
uh, just like that going forward. I know I have anxiety with just being in cars and continuing to
yeah.
face that going forward.
Yeah, as we know, exposure therapy wasn't gonna be the cure all for it,
Yeah, yeah.
right? We knew that it only works to a certain extent. And so these are still some things that are there and that you can work on. So
Mhm.
what are some ways that maybe between this session and next session that we can kind of make sure that we're working on addressing before we move on? Do you have any ideas or thoughts?
Um, I would say just trying to become more aware of my triggers and understanding them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's really a great thing to identify. And there's so many ways that you can be connected to other like resources that might help you continue to go through this. And so that leads us to kind of your question and how I like to wrap it up. What can we do? And what can you continue to do? this isn't our last session. We have one more. And then what I like to do is I like to set a month follow-up to see how my clients are doing. So you'll see me 2 more times before you're on your own. And so within that time, you can identify what's working, what's not working. We can connect you to maybe some support groups that help manage anxiety, similar to like what you have gone through. We can find you um like post-traumatic stress disorder groups that are just support groups so that you don't feel so alone in what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that we can do together within now and the next time you see me. We can come up with a list and we can start getting you connected with those.
Okay.
Also, I want to recognize though what you already have available to you to utilize. So you have throughout this been able to rely on your friends. They're very close friends to you. So keep using them. They are there for you. And it's so huge to have a support system that you can use. So keep relying on them. They've been there. They're going to continue to be there for you. Use your self-care strategies. You like to get away from electronics. You like to what else have you identified that you like to do? Let's see. What else have you learned about yourself that you like to do for self-care?
Reading, a lot of distractions based.
Yeah. So, utilize using that in times where you're feeling high anxiety still. Um, I gave you the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method.
Mm-hmm.
So using that to help kind of ground yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed by any thoughts or emotions or any settings. Um, and then just, we are here. We're always here for you. Just know that you can always come back to us if you feel like you need more. We are available.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you
All
so
right.
much for everything.
Yeah. Are there any other questions that might have come up during this session?
None. No, I don't have any questions right now.
All right. Well, if you do ever have any questions, you know how to reach out to me. We will also be meeting again same time next week if that works for you.
Okay.
All right. And then at that next session, we'll kind of recap everything that we've done again. We'll set up and we'll look for some extra supports for you outside so that you are fully equipped to be able to navigate what you're feeling without me.
Okay. Yeah, that
All
sounds good.
right. All right. Well, thank you, Lynn, for meeting with me again. And as we said, we will see each other same time next week.
All
All
right.
right. All right. Thank you, Lynn. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.